Oh, welcome to another day of stuff that I'm doing while I'm on my summer break. Um, yeah. So the last 3 days I've been programming. I want to take a step away from programming just to do something different so I don't feel like I'm stagnating in other areas. And I have other projects I have to get done. So still got the comic book going, still working on that kind of stuff. So this amazing critter is a Pulsari, and they are one of the main bad guys in the Guardian's Path of Ascension or Wielders of Aether. It's the same story, I'm just, officially changing the name, but kind of looks like a plant creature, but he's not. He's actually a little alien under there. And this is a biological suit. There's more to how that suit works in the story. You gotta read it. But the last thing I gotta put on here is the there's a little flower that goes on the back. So this encasement is a kind of a manifestation of that organism, but the actual organism is on the back here. So, and what it does is it kind of threads into the host. But anyway, I've got most of this stuff. I gotta make a flower. So there's a petal, there's a leaf, and I need to create I was just checking what I got. I'm going to go ahead and grab these, and I'll pull them over somewhere else. I like working off of copies, that way I have an extra one. And I think I'll scale these, because I can always scale them down when I'm done. And I don't know if I need the stem. I probably won't need the stem. I'll work on the middle piece. So this needs to be kind of up, but then it needs to kind of curve in. So I'm going to have kind of the bulb of the flower. So the way I'm going to get that curvature is I'm going to go up to deform. And actually I'm going to keep a, for that, I make a quick extra one over here. Put that back up. Just so I don't have to rescale. Yeah. So deform, and we come down to nonlinear and do a bend. And then I can do a curvature, but I want that curvature to be that way. So I'm going to grab that curve handle and I will rotate it to get sort of that. I think that's probably good enough. Now to keep that, I can Control D to make a duplicate, and this will stay. Or I can just clear the history on it, and then it stays. If you don't clear the history, you can keep updating it. You can also do live changes on this. So if I move it up or down, kind of handy. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this guy, I'm going to re-snap this to the base, snap that to the grid, come on you, doesn't want to from that angle. There we go. Maybe adjust that out a little bit. And then how many petals am I doing on this thing? How many did I do on the face? Looks like I did 6. So I'll go to a top view. Actually, I never hooked up the phone. So I don't know if there's anybody in my stream. There usually isn't, but might as well check. Alright, so I've got here, what do I want to do? Left over. How come that one's tilted weird? Let me freeze this one. There we go. And oh, I'm rotating on component. That would be Y. Okay. So I'll make a duplicate. I do know I need one exactly opposite. I could do this in quarters. You know, pop this one here, but it's gonna be 2 here, so probably at about, what is this, 60 degrees? Okay, so then I'll do the other one kind of like that. And then like this. Yeah. But you know what I didn't do? I did not divide these petals along the edge so I could curve them in. So why that's going to be important is you can see here I have the edge, but I can't fold this edge in without collapsing this shape. So I need to put an extra cut in here. I can do that per, or I can do it on 1 and just copy across. So I'm going to do it on 1. It's just easier. And will I be able to get symmetry on this? No. It does not read this as symmetrical, although it should since it's a copy, but it's left and right symmetrical. Should be. That's called bilateral. But I'll put that about, if I hold down Control and Shift, it gives me 50%. And then this needs to bend in. So I'll move those forward some. And I'll move these ones back some. Just to create some curvature. And I think for just a little bit more flexibility, I might cut across here. Interesting. That should be a little bit more. Good enough, I think. It just needs to be convincing from the one side, or from the back. Alright. Same deal. I'm going to rotate 180. And let's do 60. Is 45 better than 60? No, I like 60. It's a little bit better. I think I'm going to get the points of each one. Can I scale toward each other? Yes. Oh, that's a bit messy on that one. Okay, one of them, a couple of them got some weird spots there. Do want a little bit more angle on that, so it's more sharp. So I think I'll take these upward. I'll put on soft select, and then I'll move this. Let's expand the soft select radius, and I'll pull that up. think it's good. I'm not too worried about overlaps because right now we're in Maya, we're getting a lot of overdraw, but we won't have that in Unreal. So I can actually turn that off in Maya, it's just I forget what the setting is. But there's the bulb. I'm gonna do the same thing with with the leaves here. But I think I have a leaf that's already made that I can use. Yeah, I'll use this one. Just because I don't think I'm going to use the stem. And then I'll also do a cut on this leaf. Just in case I need it. Now technically there's a green connection point where the flower would come out of. I'm not going to make that. You're not going to see it. So I'm going to use just the leaf to make that effect. But same deal, I'm going to get the leaf posed where I think I want it to be. Probably about here. This is going to be a lot thinner, so I'm going to scale it in. And I think what I might do is only scale the top to about here. That looks weird. But if I do that, I'll get enough coverage on the base. And then that. I don't know. Let's keep a copy of this guy. And I'll make a decision on that in a minute. Let's turn soft select off. I'm going to curve the leaves like I did before to about here. And I'll curve this out. Tell you what, she has one of the most annoying cell phone rings. I think it's for you! Let's say I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and freeze its transforms there. And I'll actually make a duplicate in case I want it. Let's clear its history. And then let's deform. I think part of the reason, part of the issue with my target audience is I'm more productive in the morning, and most people are at work. So I'd have to be more productive in the evening. I'm just not, like, trying to match the current angle of the leaf there before I bend it. Now I can do my bend. Okay. It's actually kind of cool with a side bend. Looks neat, but I'm gonna go and rotate this way. It looks almost 90 degrees. I wonder what's up with that. There we go. Yay. So let's say I want that curvature, but I don't want the bottom to be bent. I can go to low bound and I can remove that. Huh. I do like the way it looks, but I think I might want that curvature. That's kind of nice. A little bit of a bend. I could keep this and then introduce a reverse bend this way to kind of get more like an S curve in the shape. I think I might. So let me duplicate this. I will take, which one of you is my extra? That's my duplicate. So I'll hide the duplicates. What if I bring the low bound back? Can I bring it to a positive one? I can't go beyond 0. Yeah, that'll be too much curve, I think. I can bring the low bound out a little bit. No. I think my original decision is good. So I will take this, do the history on it. And let's go ahead and do another bend. So deform, nonlinear, bend. I should have memorized the angle that I had, but it's okay. I'm going to put this roughly about there. Put that about there. Add my curvature. And actually I want to go the other way. Like that. It's just a subtle thing, but I think it's neat. I can take the... I can go to the high bound and remove that back to 0. Like that. And now if I'm happy with this, I can do the work that I need on it. I'm going to take these points here, and I will turn on soft select, and let's move these to the center. Also from that point, I'm going to pop that right back to center on there. Hi, Jerbear. Now that Misty's not here anymore, sad teardrop. Jerbear comes up and spends time. Hi, you. Misty would not let her up here before. Alright. Now do I want this leaf to be thinner? I think so. I think a thinner leaf is going to be better. But before that, of course, I'll make a copy. I'll put that thinner back. Whoops. And we will duplicate, and same deal, I will just rotate this around the flower. We got 60. 20, 80, right, and then just to avoid overlaps, like it doesn't really matter, you're not going to see a whole lot of it from the angle. But if you wanted to go in there and avoid overlap, you could just go soft select and pull one more in and one more out, and you'll avoid the overlaps. So, like here, I can take that, adjust my soft select radius. I can push that in, and that would be slightly less of an overlap than, say, like these two. You can see this is no longer overlapping here, and that's no longer overlapping here. But I don't think it's going to be noticeable enough to matter. Like if this were a cinematic thing, I would care more, but it's not. You're not going to be that close. Okay, so I can take this whole thing and I can group it. I'm going to put these in a group. This will be the bud. And then petals need to go into the petal group. And then leaves go into the leaf group. all this gets modified and frozen. And then the anchor of that is going to be center of that. I think that's good enough. And as always, always make a copy. That needs to go back here. I didn't do. Of course you don't know what I didn't do, because I didn't think to do it at the time that I was doing it. Close the petals, close the leaves. I will hide the leaves. Another thing to do with these petals I need to make it a little chunkier right about here. So let's see if I can do that. I don't have a cut. A cut here would be good. Let me do it from here. It's way too sharp. Turn these back on. Like that. Just so it fills the volume of it. Okay. This needs to go center, so I will pop it on the center line. Back. And this goes right about there. So about like that. So you can see how it kind of works, right? Its roots thread into the host, and then it envelops it. So. He took way too long to build. It took way too long. Okay, so where are you, Pulsari? You need to go into here. Okay. I'm going to do the next file iteration. This will be 3. We got tongue, teeth, body. I don't need curves. I'm going to take the curves out. Curves can go, curves can go. This is going to be vines. What I can do is take these, modify, search and replace, and replace with vines. And then for all these, just because when I move this into Unreal, it probably will not. It doesn't. Unreal doesn't like the hierarchy groups. It just ruins all those. So, what else am I gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna modify. I'm gonna search and replace names. I'll do this as sweep. And I'll do it as vine. So if I open this, ooh, it did not get the children. Just did the parent. It's okay. I could choose all, or I could choose hierarchy. So if I do this, and then for leaves, leaves are all leaves, right? And then And now comes the the really tricky part. Oh, since this is going to be my cleaned up file, I can get rid of all the extras. We'll check any. I'm not too worried about any exposed areas. It's fine. But now it comes the real tricky part, which is rigging this guy. It's gonna be a little annoying. So I'm gonna pretty much hide everything except for the main body. Let's keep his eyes in there. I'm going to do a next file up. 4, and this will be rig. So why this gets tricky is he's in what's called a natural. It's easier to rig your model in a T-pose. There's some debate about whether or not you should be doing a natural pose versus a T-pose, or an A-pose, or whichever. My argument is it's a lot easier to introduce a bend into a system than it is to take one out. So if you're in a T-pose, everything's straight, you can introduce a bend pretty easy. But when there's already a bend and you want to make this straight, it's a lot more work. So that's my argument. Let's change this over to rigging. And I'll go to the rigging shelf. We'll get this. What's my default here? It should be 2.2. There we go. Here's the root. Root goes to center. Cool. Now we need to do some stuff. Pelvis right about here. The hips will sit about there. That should be fine. This guy is very, very bendy, so he's going to have a few extra spine joints. So 1, 2, 3. We'll get center of the chest, and then he'll get a couple neck joints. 1, 2, 3. I'll give him a head joint right about there. See you later. For the arm, we actually get a collarbone. So from chest, we'll have a collarbone right about. I'll put it here. And shoulder. Because of the anatomy, I have to be a bit more peculiar. So that's going to be shoulder right about there, and then or collar 1, collar 2, and then shoulder here. His elbow's about there. Wrist is about here. Whether or not I need twist joints, I may want them in this model. But for this, I think I'm okay. Finger joints. Make sure I pull this forward to where the wrist is. I'll line these guys up. This is where projected center could be good. It projects into the center of the model. I think that's good for there. Wrist. I'm gonna move it up just a tad. No, that's correct. His wrist is there. Meat of the hands here. Always hated rigging in this fashion. Oh, I never did give him a hand joint. He will need it for the rifle, which I haven't built yet. I need to build that rifle. I started making it, but it's not finished. So first knuckle, second knuckle. Want this to be good in center. Normally I'd have a movie going while I do this stuff. I don't really do music. Debating where this one's going. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a clean placement. I technically don't need the end joints, but I do appreciate them. It just gives the skin something else to grab. Okay. 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 Alright, for the leg. Hip is gonna start about here. Knee starts down here. These have those strange legs, you know, like an animal leg. So that has to go back here. I think it was Flip Normal that was talking about creature designs and kind of poo-pooing the general structure of this kind of thing. They're like, well, we're seeing a lot of that. And they're right. You know, of course, I had designed him long before that, but when they pointed that out, I was like, yeah, that's true. Like almost all the aliens these days are this weird, like, gangly kind of structure. It's like, man, call me out like that. For him, should he have articulated toes? And I think so, because of the placement of them. No. I'll do a foot joint and a toe joint. He does not need articulated toes. The one's kind of a nub, anyway. We're not going to do close-ups of his feet on the ground. I think this will be good enough. And then I need to do all of my adjustments. So make sure that one's center. This one for the pelvis needs to be center as well. The knee, I think, looks good. The ankle, I think, looks good. The I don't know if it would be ankle 1 and ankle 2. Yeah. I will leave that here. Keep contradicting myself. The gut instinct versus the higher reasoning. Okay. Not being a Gotta figure out how I'm gonna name these. Come back to that in a minute. I gotta do a jaw. Jaw starts about here, yeah, and then it's going to extend to here. This creature's eyes don't move, so I don't need to do that. It can blink, but I don't think I'm gonna do those. I mean, I added enough. I guess I could. No, I won't add that right now. Let's start naming things. Pelvis. Spine 1. Spine 2. Spine 3, spine 4, neck, neck 2, head 1, head 2. Jaw 1. Jaw 2. It does have a tongue, so I will have to create a tongue. I guess I don't really have to if I'm not going to articulate the tongue, but I probably should have a skeleton for the tongue. If the mouth can open, you know. It's really tricky making the inside of the mouth in ZBrush. It doesn't like having geometry folds. It doesn't appreciate that. This is L collar 1. And then L collar 2. Shoulder. Elbow. Left index 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be left. Would this be pinky or is this middle? It's only got the 2 digits, right? I guess it would be pinky. I don't know, you tell me. What's great is he doesn't have a thumb. I hate rigging a thumb. It's such an annoying thing. But I have 2 digits that are in natural poses, so it's whatever. Left hip. It's hip to be square. So this is the left knee. Does this make this the left ankle? And this be the foot? And what the hell are these? I have a cat over here, so I can check on the cat. That would be your knee. That's technically your ankle. That whole long thing is your foot. So that would be the ball of the foot. That's right? What's that? I don't want to give you too much attention because then you'll be very demanding. Oh. What's in a name? Left ankle. I could do knee 1 and knee 2 and then have ankle. Like, I don't know. Normally I would make that the ankle. I'll call it toe base. Or ball of foot, I guess, but this is technically the ball of the foot. I hate the ball of the foot. Because normally you just call it left ball. You're like, what are you talking about? Left toe. I'll call it left toe big 1 and left toe big 2. Left toe small 1. Or little. Whoops, that was not correct. Small 1, small 2. Do we still have a group? Is it still in a group? Oh, I just pasted a leaf. It's fine. Okay, now it's time for hierarchies. So he's going to be used for the game, but he's also going to be used as part of the book cover. So right now this is just a loose rig so that I can pose him for the book cover. If I need more articulation later, I can always do that. Whoops, wrong way. Whoops, child, parent. There we go. You go here. You go to the jaw. Jaw goes to here. Couple games I would like to get further along this summer. StarQuest, for sure. It's a bit farther. It would be nice to publish, to get Blockout finished and published. It's about halfway done. But I had some hang-ups with the video because I was making it in GameMaker, and GameMaker didn't have good video support tools, but now it has video support tools, so I can look into that. I was going to move it to like Unity or Unreal, because both of those have really good native video tools. But I don't know. There's beauty and simplicity with GameMaker. The way objects talk and interact isn't the greatest, but it's just kind of straightforward, and I like that there's a built-in sprite editor. I mean, Unity has a sprite editor, but I don't think you can do much else in it other than slicing. Maybe I'm wrong. But then Unity decided to attack indie developers, basically. Really, they're attacking all developers by making the that fee. Although, maybe they removed it by now. I haven't checked the latest news. Consider doing it in Unreal, and actually rebuilt the game in 3D to do it in Unreal. But as neat as that game is, it moves heavily away from the main vibe of that game. So I'm like, I don't know. Because that 2D arcade feel, that quickness, you know, the 3D version loses that. And making a mobile game on Unreal is just obnoxious. So the simplicity of Game Maker is just kind of nice. Actually, I'm going to unparent here. And I'm going to unparent there. Let's hide the body. Do you want to hide a body? Not now. Unparent those. And I need to unparent these. Let's unparent this one. Sorry, I'm moving into the next phase, which is orienting the joints. That one needs to be world. This needs to be world. Turn the eyes off. Yeah, select. There we go. So this, we will unparent the jaw. So when you're doing joint orients, I would recommend unparenting anything from the main chain. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So root should be world, because your root control is world control. Oof. And then X down the bone. There is some argument for Unreal to do Y down the bone. I haven't encountered an issue doing X down the bone, but in general, things that go in Unreal usually get Y down the bone. I'm going to do X, Y, Y for these. Oh, I need to orient and reorient. Yes. So with that, I'm pushing Z forward. That's fine. This goes that way. And then when you get up to here, you get some certain flips. I'm not sure why the system decides it wants to flip these. So those two I gotta flip. That one's fine. This matching the parent should be fine. Although I'm gonna do this one as world, because if you attach like things like a hat or whatever to this, it's a lot easier if that's world. So I'll attach that as world. And we'll parent back. These this one and that one. Let's undo those, and we'll do undo children. And then let me flip the axis. Ooh, it said no. Alright, we'll do just you then. There we go. I guess the algorithm just failed on those two, because it's the same setting. The mouth joints, they're fine. I was gonna do them oriented to world, but I think it'll be okay on this. Yeah. Oh, cool! It got the ending joint. It's usually bad at that. All right. The collarbone joint. I prefer orienting to world for the collarbone. But it might be okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go and do this. So this is why I don't like in these kind of situations, the orientation is just so kinked. Look at that. This is awful. How are you supposed to manage this? Right? Yeah, I can go in and I can manually rotate the axis so that this points forward and that points up. But that's just obnoxious. So what I can do here is, let me try taking just him. No good. I can go in and manually rotate it. I hate doing that. Let's save real quick. So up here, where is it? There we go. I'm gonna hit this little question mark. Ah. Looks like it's already on. Select handle objects. Oh wow, my ear just went weird. That must be in 1408. Huh. Let me go into component mode. There we go. Now I can orient this. Not nearly as flat as I would like it to be, but I can do the same thing with this guy. I mean, even that is not totally desirable. That's why I normally just do these set to world. It's a much cleaner manipulator. I'm going to unparent this, I'm going to uncheck that. Go back to object, unparent this, and I will redo these. I might come back and redo those. I'm not too happy with them. You can see this elbow. Okay, that makes sense. If we are doing Z forward, then that means these are backwards. These have been rotated down, so I'm going to take this one, that one, and flip it. And then this. But you can see how kinked these joints are. And this is, again, going back to my argument about do you rig with a character in a more natural pose, or do you rig with a character in a T-pose? Look at this BS that I have to deal with on orienting these joints. Nothing about this is animator friendly. There's a lot more work I have to do to make this work. Whereas if I had just done this in a T-pose, all the joints would be oriented in an axis that I can use. I can't use this. You don't want your fingers to do this kind of crap in the middle of an animation. So, if anybody says they're in favor of natural pose, I will oppose that. That I can use. This one follows that one. That I can use. These do not follow anything that makes sense. Like, what the heck is going on here? So I'm going to have to do same deal. Grab the manipulator and just do it by hand. And then this one, if I hit world, it'll match parent. Really? You are not matching parent? Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna have to do that one by hand as well. It's annoying. I gotta get the angle so I can see that, and I'll match. Alright. That makes sense. Not sure what these guys are doing. Okay, so they all agree on what is good for bad. Now the question is, when I mirror this over, is it going to flip those and screw them up? Like, I don't know, maybe. That makes sense. Moves these forward. Yeah. So actually, technically, if you were to take this and you were to rotate it down, then yeah, that's correct. It would be that way. And then that there. Okay. Now the reason this is oriented to world just makes it a lot easier with doing an IKFK switchable rig. Just because the IK handle is in world space, and it's just a lot easier to deal. But I'm going to have an IK going from here to there anyway, so that I might want to do in world. And there will be an IK from here to there. So this might be better off in world. So you to here. And you might be like, well, why don't you just do all of them in world space? And you can set them all to world space. The mocap system I use, Axis Studio, all the joints are in world space, I'm pretty sure. It's just easier to run calculations on it. But when you have a hierarchy system like this, right, and I grab all these joints, let me open up this hierarchy. So if I grab all this and I, curl this in the same axis, you see the kind of behavior? This top joint is not in the same orientation, so I'll get rid of it. So these guys, they all agree on what to bend, right? That's why. But you can see if I grab all of them, because this joint does not agree on the axis, when I rotate Z, I get this. Now I'm not going to do that for the head. The head joint is just going to be its own thing. Kind of with the arm joint, same deal. With the fingers, when I curl a finger, I want to make sure the finger curls in the desired direction. Right? If they're all in different axes, they're going to get weird. So I'll use this leg as an example. If I were to try to curl this leg some of them are pointed down the bone, some of them are world space. I'm going to get unusable rotations. Right? So it creates a level of prediction. It's like, well, if that's the case, if it's better to have things pointing down the bone, then why do things in world space? And it really just depends on the situation. So this head joint, if I want to anchor a hat to it, when you build an object, say like in Maya, for example, the default orientation is world space. So I don't have to think about it. I just build the hat, and then I can attach the hat to the head, and the head will be in the correct orientation, right? So if I very quickly build a hat, I'll make him a little top hat, you know. There we go, top hat coming. Why not? Face mode, turn that off. Made him a top hat, right? Now if I want to attach this hat to there, I grab the hat, come over to here, and I just do a match. We'll do match translation. The hat goes to the head in the correct orientation, right? I don't have to think about it. Makes things a lot easier. And this child joint will obey. Like if I were to attach that, if I were to move the head, you know, it still obeys. It still obeys the parent. But when I do an IK handle, this is going into a bit deeper into this, but if I do an IK from here to the ankle, okay, the IK handle, if I go and find it, the default setting for the IK handle is world space. Yeah. The manipulator of that handle is just in world space. It's just how it is. There might be a setting. Let me see. I can do a rotate plane solver. I can do a single chain solver. Yeah, so there's not much I can do here for the for that handle. It's going to be in world space. It's also good for IKFK matching. So if I have let's say I have make a duplicate of this. So normally when you do IK and FK, you actually have 3 skeletons. You have the main skeleton that is, you have what's called the bind skeleton, where all the skin is bound to. And then you have one skeleton that is hooked up for IK and one that is hooked up for FK. So we get a couple controls here. So I'll make this control, I'll snap it to here, I'll get a control, snap it to the knee, get a control, snap it to the ankle, and then one, snap it to here. Now the general rule of thumb is you would want your controls to be in the same orientation as whatever it's controlling. So let me do modify, let me get this, and I'll match. Oops. There we go. Okay. Now if I want this to be similar in alignment, I would just take this. Get my control vertices, and then I can do this. Okay, so we have our controls set up, and we'll do this to that. Constraint. Pop this off real quick. Maintain and then apply it. This to that. This to that. And then this one to that one. Okay, so there's a basic FK rig setup where I can grab the controller and I get the manipulation of the thing. And these all need to match the hierarchy. So now moving this moves the leg. This one moves these guys. Right. So let's say this is the FK setup, and then on the other leg we have the IK setup. So let me go ahead and hide. I'll hide those. Actually, I'll duplicate the controls. Hide the originals. Call this one FK. This one will be IK. This one will be IK. Where's my hip? For FK. FK hip. Let's label it FK. Okay, so I'll hide that. I should be able to see this guy. Yep. Now for IK, we don't need to have this one, or that one, or that one. So I'll pop that one off. Actually, I'll keep that control, because we'll use it for we'll use it for something else. So from here, I hit the wrong thing. And I'll just do those. I won't do this one. I don't need him for now. And for this, let's take that handle, and we'll do a pole vector. Let's do a pole vector. So what that does is, as I bend this knee, grab that. As I bend the knee, I can use this to kind of aim the knee. Okay, so now I'm going to have this control that IK. Simple answer is just to parent it. So now that works. So we'll put both skeletons back. I'll put the FK skeleton back with the FK controls back. Okay. Now they overlap, so I can't really see the difference, but I will move the FK skeleton away. Oh, did I break the original? I may have broken the original. No, it's still got constraints on it. Oh, they're only orient constraints. That's good. That makes life easier. So let's say I have the IK, and I move the IK to some position, right? And I have both rigs set up. Well, I want to switch between one rig to the other, but when I do that, the skeleton, the bind skeleton, is going to match this one, not this one. Now it's like, well, I want the bind skeleton to match this pose that I just made, so what do I got to do? Well, I have to take this skeleton here, or this rig, and I've got to try to match the pose. There you go. You can see there's a little bit of an angle change, so I gotta change the angle of that. You know, whatever. I gotta try to visually match the pose. That's interesting. The undo went that way, but it didn't go the other way. That's just a weird quirk of things. So what do I do? Well, I can use the matching option for the orientation or the position. So instead, let me get this leg position back to 0. Ooh, I never cleared them, so I'm going to get breakage. Let me get him back to 0. Whatever its default pose is. Right? I want to match these. Ideally, these would have been set to 0. I didn't do that. But when you run a match algorithm on it, what you would do is you would take this one and you would match to this control. These two would match because they're in the same orientation, so that makes life easier. So like if I move this, let's check the rotation of this. It would have been a lot easier if I had cleared these, but I can't clear them. So I'm at -4, 3, 3, something or another. Let's see what happens here. Okay, and then -12. Okay. So I would match, say, this one to that one's orientation. So we'll do this to that, and this is going to be a bad example because I never zeroed these off. But we'll match rotation for there, and then I gotta get the knee. And then I would do that again, right? I keep matching. So if they're in the same orientation as you're matching them, it makes life easier. But because this guy is in the IK handles in world space, to avoid getting anything messy on there, we do that in world, and then yeah. But anyway, I think I saved this just before getting to here, hopefully. So I'm going to go ahead and undo. I should be able to undo all the way back, so. So I don't need those, I don't need those. Those can go bye-bye. And pretty much up until these disappear. That's back to normal, and then this one. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I guess it kind of does look similar to that. I played a lot of Resident Evil as a kid, so maybe that's where the inspiration came from. It's good. It's a good... I didn't think about that, but yeah. It definitely could be. Yeah, if I put his stuff back on. Where is he at? I got some eyes. So that's him before he's wearing the suit, but then when he's got the suit on, it's all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, hold on a second. see, Resident Evil. Plant creature. That's good. Back. Okay. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's hilarious. I did play the crap out of Resident Evil 2 though. That's cool. Yeah, they have better artists. Much better artists than me. But kinda. Alright, I finished rigging him. So where was I? I was on the ankle. And I think those are all in the right orientation that I want. Now for the toes, I'm going to do X, Y, Y, yeah. If we're following this, it should be Z would be up in this case. And which direction is Y? Y is out to the side. Yeah, okay, that matches. They could make a Lego game. I'd play it. Yeah, I've played the Star Wars Lego ones. Did you play the remake? The Resident Evil remake? Really? It's not gonna match. Oh, it is matching parent. That's why. There we go. And then I'm going to keep the foot oriented to world, so that's going to stay there, and this is going to be oriented to world here, and then that's going to stay oriented to world. For the wrist, I do want the wrist to be oriented to world for IKFK matching, but I'm going to forego that. I'm going to keep it this way, and I'll deal with the pain later. So, past self to future self. Sorry. I'm going to get there in however months, and then I'm going to go, darn you, past self. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2, well, the Resident Evil 4 remake for VR. That was pretty good. Okay, so I've got those. Let's do a mirror. Do I want orientation or behavior? I'm gonna go with behavior and apply. Did these get all foobarred? No. And that one. That's pretty cool. I have a Japanese, well, I have a modded PS1. It's got a modded chip so I can play the Japanese games in it. Yeah, it's sitting there in the closet. It still works. I was reading that they're going to redo Resident Evil 1 in the same vein as the most recent remake, so RE2, 3, and 4 remakes. Looking forward to that. I didn't play the remake on... where they do a GameCube remake, I think. I think it was only released on GameCube. Maybe it was on Dreamcast as well, but I didn't play that one. I'll say I played it briefly. I played it for like half an hour, you know, just messing around with it, but I didn't play it seriously. Alright, so he's all oriented and ready to go. Let's select those, and we'll turn off the axis flags there. I'll put this back to here. Alright, let me hide that. Let me turn on the tongue. Just because they didn't put the bones in this yet. And I'll just go ahead and name it now, so tongue 1. Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. It's one of the few consoles that I never had. It was a neat one though. All right, let's do this to that, and then this to that. That to that. Realistically, I could just import the tongue as a separate piece and just attach it, but it's alright. And then the orientation of the tongue. Joint orient. Use. those are all good except for this one. This one decided to be different. There we go. Nice. What's your favorite Resident Evil game? Let's turn these. That one I don't need. Turn the main skeleton back on. That's going to be a tricky thing to do, because the tongue falls behind the jaw. Five and six. I didn't play 6. Which one was 5? Was 5, is that the one that was in Africa? Or is that 6? Okay, got this. I'll turn the axis flags off for these. Yes. Okay, so that one was in Africa. I didn't play that one. Yeah, I didn't do 5 or 6. I played 7 and 8. And I played 1 through 4. So those two I missed. Oh, I did play the one that was on Dreamcast. What was that? Code Veronica. For me, it's a hard toss-up between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. Just Resident Evil 2 just has a good old nostalgia feel, the original one. And then Resident Evil 4, it was just a great change-up for the style of the game. When it comes to the remakes, I think the VR, Resident Evil 4 VR, is probably the better experience. Just because you get to, manipulate the game and interact with it more versus, on a keyboard and a mouse or a controller. Okay, so I'll turn the body on. We'll save here. So this is the rig, yeah. So U to U. Let's go to scan and then bind. We will do joint hierarchy, and let's do this as heat map. And we'll do 5. We want X-ray joints on. There we go. Very nice, very nice. That's a really good bend. Let's check this forearm. That came out really good. Alright, so it says, let's see, Code Veronica was a timed exclusive on Dreamcast in 2000. Okay. I remember when it came out. Yeah. I think it was about 11th grade. Wow, that hits me right in the age. Buddy of mine had it on Dreamcast. I forgot they made a PS2 version of it. I guess they did a... You said they did a 20th or a 5th anniversary? Okay. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Okay, good bend on the wrist. Let's check these fingers. Nice and clean. A little bit of a pinch there. How's this? Yeah, that needs to be softened. Close enough for that one, though. That one's good enough. How's this? Same deal. This needs to be softened in here and here. But we won't see that in the pose that I'm going to do, so I'll leave it as is. Let's check the leg. So far, so good. That's good in there. Very good there. That toe. This toe. Alright, that came out really clean. I guess I could check the other side, but it should be the same. Okay, so that's pretty good there. Let's do the vines next. Let's turn these on. That's that half. Let's get the other half. Might do each bit in sections. Did they have a trophy system? I didn't know that that was a thing. It's pretty cool. I haven't done 100% on the older games I do. On the newer ones I don't do 100%. I just don't have the time. I think I'll do these in stages. So where's... That's the arm, leg. Here's body, vines. Where's body? Body vines, right. There they are. So I'm going to get all these. And all these. So those will be bound from pelvis to head, pretty much. So from there, well, I guess I can just do it from here. Should I use heat map or closest in distance? Let's try heat map. I don't think these are close enough to be affected by heat map. Yeah. Yeah, so I bought my wife a PlayStation 3, but I never played it. She played a lot of Devil May Cry. I think that's pretty much all she played was Devil May Cry. Okay, so heat map ran and did a bunch of stuff. Let's see what... probably is okay. I saw heat map broke on a few of them. Yeah, heat map didn't catch this one. And it didn't catch those. So I will go and unbind. Okay, let's see if that's a successful unbind. Yes. So these, and then that. I hate to do closest in distance. Closest in distance is always terrifying because it might grab something from out here. But let's go ahead and do... I could do geodesic voxel, but I think the same thing. I think it's going to be outside the range. Oh, helps if I grab a thing. We'll see what geodesic voxel does, and then... Yeah, you see how it's not clean in here? I got some of those. But we didn't get anything on these. Okay. Closest in distance it is. And then everything's unbound. Yes. Let's do this first. See, that is one of those things that closest in distance is bad about. There's absolutely no reason that should happen. I really want to do heat map. Heat map's much nicer. Alright. Heat map did really well on a lot of the body ones. Yeah, heat map would have been a lot nicer here as well. Okay, let me go back. I was just thinking if I could run heat map and then on the ones that don't connect, just connect them using a different operation, and then copy the skin weights. But I don't think so. I don't think I can do it that way, because it's a different object. So if I can copy from one object to another. But I can't copy from one object and then mirror it to another. I don't think I can do that. Keeping up with inflation is more difficult than keeping up with the Kardashians. I guess that's fair. I don't really keep up with either. I'm pretty much isolated. I do this. I teach. I write. I don't really watch TV. A little bit of news I get is from Google. It's always biased and politically shifted. Alright, let's do heat map again. And then on the ones that fail to bind, I can unbind those individually and then run a different operation, because that's a lot nicer. But that had nothing on there. Neck. Really, it's doing whichever job is the least amount of work. Yeah, some of those just didn't get connected. It's not perfectly symmetrical. Politics is like a Yu-Gi-Oh card game. You never know what trap card will be activated. That's scarily accurate. Well, recently they've played the Trump card. Alright. Let's try closest in hierarchy. That doesn't pull on a lot of those. It does pull on that one for some reason. What happens if I turn the head? I get some skewing there. But I think closest in hierarchy is going to give me the better result. Yeah, looks pretty good. so far. And I checked that shoulder. Yeah, so this should have almost no response here. So we'll go back to bind pose. And it's like, well, darn. Body's pretty close to what I want, I think. That one's messed up there. Let's check this one over here. Equally messed up there. Alright. I'm going to hide the body pieces and we'll do the arms. I'll worry about skin weighting in a bit. So that's leg, arm. Turn both those back on. For the left arm, I'm going to do the hierarchy from here down. Closest in hierarchy. That worked pretty good. For the other one, we'll get this one, and I'll grab these. And that's good there. How's your day been so far? Mine's been like this. Not bad though. Although you did make me think about these guys. So when I was making him in ZBrush, I didn't like the way it was coming out, but as I'm looking at their models, these look like they were done in ZBrush or Mudbox at the very least. And it looks like it turned out pretty well. So I might go back in and do a ZBrush version. Trying to think of where my original inspiration came from for the creature. When I was writing the book, I just thought about how it would interact with the character. There was a it was a Hulk animated movie. I guess Hulk got dropped onto some... I think it was Hulk. Hulk got dropped onto some planet, and there was some mad genius who was releasing these plant things that were taking over people. Remember that being a big influence, but I don't remember what the movie was called. But now I get to go look at some Resident Evil stuff, because I don't know why I didn't consider Resident Evil. Close in hierarchy. And then this one with those. I'm gonna pull a Dr. Evil and just trust that it all went according to plan. Okay, so the vines are good there. Next it would be leaves and petals, but I want to make some subtle corrections on the neck vines. So hide the leg vines, we'll get the body vines. This is going to be a bit tricky because when I move this arm, you're going to see that that gets manipulated. Where this is going to get tricky is when I skin weight this. Paint skin weights. You can see all of the joints that have influence on this. Spine 4, all the way down to spine 1, and then collar. Pelvis should have no influence. Pelvis should have no influence over this. Neck. Where does neck 1 start? Neck 1 starts there. Why would neck 1 have any influence over this? It makes sense for these. I'll worry about that part in a minute. Up here on this shoulder is manipulating that. You can see shoulder has a lot of influence here. Collar and this collar. So who's going to be better off? If I want this to kind of sit above this, who would be the better candidate? I can give more influence to him. Let's go down to add and then 0.1. I'm going to save before I start because I want to be able to go back. And actually, I'll change this to the next iteration. That way I have a definite starting point if I break it. Crud-a-doodle. Can't quite see what I'm doing, but I want this body part to be there. And I think that would be plenty. I don't think I need to do anything more to that. That's going to collar 2. I think that's good enough. What happens when I lower it now? Goes back to normal-ish. Yeah. And then it's anchored to that collarbone. Those do sink in, but I'm not going to worry about that from this pose. What about this guy? Oh, I need to move this shoulder again. So this guy, same dealio. I think I can just give it to that shoulder. Adjust my brush size. Let's go inside here. No good. And that one. What sucks is I have to do that on the other side. I don't get an opportunity to mirror. A way that I could have done it is if I were to combine all of the body vines. Then I might have a shot, because then it would consider it one continuous mesh. But it's not entirely symmetrical, so I'd probably have to do it anyway. Okay. Yes, I'm...
Right next to Starbucks, do you want another sandwich?
No thank you.
Boring. Okay, I need coffee to live, so I have to stop here. There's no one.
Alright, fine, I'll cave.
Oh, for you. Okay, you want your thing with almond milk, right?
Yes.
You want a big one again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright. Okay, love you, babe.
Goodbye! So part of the summer goal is to be on a healthier diet and make sure I work out a little bit more. I am failing at that. I tried to resist, and the dreaded wife tempted me. The vile temptress. It's fine. Alright, I'll get this one. We've been doing pretty good by going to collar 2. I think I'll continue that trend. We'll pull this up more, and then I'll get this side one up a little bit more. Don't think I need that. Oops. Not 7. Thank you. There we go. I think that's good enough for there. This should not be bound at all to the arm. That needs to go back to the neck. So maybe a little bit of a pull for that lower collar, but definitely not. Definitely not over there. So this, I'm going to violate some rules here. You shouldn't paint to 0 on some things. Okay, it's not that you shouldn't, it's that when you paint things to 0, Maya is going to make its best guess about where that should go, and sometimes its best guess is awful. I think most of this should be on the neck, so neck 2. I'm just going to paint. Something's pulling that real hard. I guess I have to be more choosy on my phrasing. Well, neck 1 is way down. Neck 1 is there, neck 2, and then head. Who has control of this thing? That Shoulder should have none. What? Shoulder's got that? Why would Shoulder have that? Okay. Shoulder, you get 0, and I'm replacing the 0. Spine 3. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. Spine 4. Tongue? Why would Tongue have... No. Mr. Tongue, you do not have control over this. No. No. And no. This is one of those situations where it's like, I would love to just remove influence. I probably should just overall remove influences from certain things. Spine 4. That kind of makes sense, but not that harsh. Shoulder, collar, collar. Right collar should have nothing. Well, it does cross over, so I guess maybe that's correct. So neck 2. I could flood and give all control, but I don't think that would be best. Jaw. No, Mr. Jaw. Well, we might have to have some jaw control because this part of the neck will flex when he opens the jaw. So I might have to have those. Alright, so collar's going to pull a little bit in there. That should be 10%. We'll do add. Let me turn body off. I do want body on so I can see how this is going to go, but I need to also see how I'm going to paint some of this. Now I really don't know what's happening to this as I'm painting it. So it's good to pose the object so you can see what kind of influence is happening. But something is pulling on this way down here, right? So collar 2, it says collar 2 has a bunch of this. As I go to paint that away, it goes that way. Or collar 1 has that. As I paint this on, collar 1 gets a lot of that. What about collar 2? Who else is pulling really, really hard? Shoulder should have pretty much none. So I thought I flooded shoulder to 0, but I will flood shoulder to 0. And that cleaned up a lot of that. I'll go back to add 10%. And that went back to there and there. Okay. Okay. What happens when I move this neck? The body back on. Huh, they're skewing. That should not happen. It's a lot of skewing. That means things above it have a lot of control. Yeah, I don't think that should have that. Head 2 should have 0. And jaw. I don't think jaw should have that much control. Jaw 2 should have none. Neck gets some. I think I will have most of that flood 0. That one is a mess. Does this other one skew? No, that one's alright. That one's a huge mess. Like it's got a peeling effect. I'm just gonna go ahead and just get flood happy. Mine doesn't know where to assign value because I keep flooding to 0. I was like, well, where does it go? I totally destroyed it though. My guess is it's gonna flood to like. How would collar 2 get it? Right shoulder. It's like, well, I haven't given it to the right shoulder yet. Why would the tongue have it? The tongue's not even anchored there. Alright. Well, my food's here, so I'm going to hop off. Alright, I'll be there in a minute. So, food's here. I'm going to hop off, and I'll come back at some point and fix the mess that is that particular vine. So.